Okay, kind of like a casual intro to today's video. Hi. But I was working on these sketches like a few days ago. So I have like sketches of my OC Kaisen on this kind of spread right here. And then I have my OC Masaki on this spread. Now I was not sure how exactly I wanted to approach doing kind of like finishing up the sketches a little bit more. I would be totally down just to leave it like this, but I kind of want to do something with like more inking or line art of some sort and maybe adding a little bit of color. Not too sure. I also preemptively added like sticker paper to both of these so that I was kind of planning on probably putting some alcohol markers for color, but because I want to focus on making my sketches kind of just stand out, I do want to add some ink to it. So I am probably going to use the Energel Clena, which is the one that I'm holding right now. I have a black kind of gel pen needlepoint tip, I guess, in this one in particular, and I think it could be nice to just go through, do a little bit of inking and see where it takes me for this particular one, as well as this one of Masaki. And then maybe afterwards we can pick out a few colors to kind of like accent the page just a smidge more. Maybe I'll do it monochromatic and just choose one color for each. Usually in my sketchbooks, depending on like the marker type, but I like to kind of like do the inking afterwards, so a lot of my color kind of bleeds outside of where I ink. These ones are a little bit more messy. I tend to ink on top to make things look a little bit more clean and clear. Same with these ones, Asathabi. But I think that's what we're going to be doing today, is just kind of doing the opposite. So ink first, we'll do kind of like a clean layer of color afterwards if I feel like it, but let's just focus mostly on inking. Also, the reason for no intro is just because it felt kind of stupid just to reclose my sketchbook to get like an intro shot. So we're just gonna start where I left off. But I will show you guys a kind of a close-up version because it's hard to see the sketches as they're kind of on the lighter side. Okay, so starting on the left side, a Kaisen spread. I ended up doing like a larger Kaisen, which I think is very similar to the little digital doodle that I ended up doing. Kind of more like summer themed, and him dealing with the heat. And then we have Masaki. And then the left side. So if you ever see more of like a off-white color of my paper versus like this cooler, almost bluish purpley gray color, this one is the sticker paper that I like to use with using markers to block out any bleed through, and this is actually the natural white of the paper. I might change the angle a little bit. I always forget that if I work in ink like this, you guys can't see, so most likely I have to put you guys on my left side so that you can kind of see where my pen is actually being placed on the paper. So hopefully this isn't too far away for you guys to actually see. We'll just put down a few binder clips so that my paper doesn't move and buckle too much while I'm working on it. Yeah, I think I worked on this one down here and kind of zigzagged my way around. But let's start with this big one, and hopefully you guys aren't too far and you can actually see the inking more or less properly. I think I mentioned... Did I mention? Probably not. Even though this pen usually doesn't really like skip or cause me too much issue with like inconsistency in the line work, but there is occasionally sometimes either there's like too much already on the paper or the page, which causes the ink to not adhere, or maybe it's the oil of my hands. I'm not too sure. If you guys do line art or inking of any sort traditionally, do you have like a go-to pen or whatever medium you like to ink with? It just like happens to be your go-to. Also, I don't know how I want to approach this. I kind of want to do the values and stuff with this pen as well, and then anything we add afterwards will be just like supplementary to help add more value. I should also check if I have more of this ink, because if I'm going to be scribbling and filling in a lot of Kaisen, especially because he has a lot of dark color and value. But let me know if you guys like using ballpoint pen or a fine liner, a gel pen, roller ball. Maybe you like using like a calligraphy pen or brushwork. Pentel pocket brush pen, something like that. Not only that, this ink is like, I think it's water-based, and because of that, it doesn't really smudge with my alcohol markers. But I think I'll do more like hatching, cross-hatching and stuff for Kaisen's hair. Because even though I like this matte black, I don't know if it's the most ideal to use if I'm just using this kind of a pen. I should probably restock on this ink too. I always draw Kaisen with such like a disgruntled, disappointed, or like annoyed expression. So I think it's about time for me to draw him with something cute. Have him kind of like laughing or like snickering a little bit. Because he's definitely more grumpy. Oh, I guess I'm smudging a bit. This ink isn't drying as quickly on the sticker paper, so I do have to be a little careful. Kind of wish I didn't start with his face. I do have some extra sticker paper backing that we could use to kind of protect my hand, which I'll just carefully place down. And people always have questions like, paper does kind of like the same thing as your hand if you're always like sliding it around. But if you just leave it down and whenever you need to like use it and move it, you can just pick it up, move it to a different spot, and you should be good to go. I recommend not like sliding around your paper a whole lot, because it's not really any different than like moving around your hand and shuffling that around. So if you also have this pen, let me know what you use it for, because I'm kind of curious, because I can imagine that this is like also just great to use as like a daily kind of pen you use for like maybe school or work. I think a joke about this, about Kaisen's design, is that this little back piece of his hair, no matter what angle you try to look at him from, it's just not visible. I don't know if I did that on the reference sheet. I kind of hope I did, because every time I've drawn him with this little piece that kind of floats to the back of his hair, no matter which angle I draw, you just can't really see where it kind of like shapes or like flicks out or anything. He has this little thing on his head. Acts as that little piece of hair that comes on the back. This guy needs a trim. Guess I gave him his long sleeves here. It's okay. But I've definitely done a spread already in the sketchbook where I did primarily inking for Kaisen's piece. I think it's because I wanted to color in his outfit with more like a matte black. I'm actually curious on how much ink I have left in this one. Ooh, yeah, we're running low. I use this pen quite a bit. Also, I have like those calligraphy pens that I like to use as well for inking. Not for these smaller ones, but for like other doodles. Those ones are also really nice if you want like a matte black, or filling in like a larger area of black, I guess in this case. But the reason why I keep saying matte black is because usually this isn't like overly shiny. I don't know if you guys can tell, like there's not really any reflectiveness off of it, similar to like graphite or a ballpoint pen. I'll solidly fill these ones in. I might do a little bit more to these ones as well. So I don't know if I'll switch to the dark blue or if I'll just use like the calligraphy pen to tie me over to kind of keep it more or less still like monochromatic looking. Also, one thing I noticed, and it's probably because I get my death grip back whenever I do inking because I want to be a little bit more precise, but I tend to grip the pen a lot harder. So I do get more of like that carpal tunnel arthritis tight pain in my hand versus like when I'm just like loosely sketching or digital art. I never get it unless I like screwed up my hand from doing something else like crochet, which I was doing earlier, but I was being very careful making sure that I wasn't gonna give myself any cramping or pain or like nerve damage or anything like that, because that'll be the worst. One thing I don't like getting from that in general is like the trigger finger, because I don't think mine was like severe at all. So after like a few days, or like I guess like a day or two, it kind of went away. So I didn't really have the trigger finger for too long, but I always had like unlock my finger out of like a position because it was stuck like that for too long. Some people have like such a good method of doing their hatching where it looks so consistent. Could not be me. Also, when I'm doing like inking, I try my best either to do like fast, quick strokes that, you know, get the job done for the most part, or I will do short strokes, but I'll try my best to always align them so much so that they don't really look like they're feathering too much. Every time I work on traditional art, I think it's also like when I'm not forced myself to do too much digital art, I just have like the biggest urge right now to do like watercolor painting. I don't know if it's because it's so therapeutic or I just want to play around with like colors and like softer transitions of stuff rather than something more, I guess like more akin to my digital, where it's like some people describe it more gouache-like the way I paint. I think that's a cute way of describing it. Sometimes when their bangs like cross in front of their face, I get a little confused on how I want to place the hair. Accidentally butcher his face. I know like I said that this kind of pen doesn't really give me a lot of line width variation. There is like occasionally times where if I do put quicker but lighter strokes, I can get some finer lines like that. I made him kind of similar to me in the sense that I typically wear kind of like darker-ish clothing. I will almost always 90% of the time be wearing leggings, black leggings, and typically like a sweater or a jacket or something, but it's like on the darker-ish side. Occasionally I will like wear like cream or like a light brown or just straight up white, but I like wearing navy blue, I like wearing black, I like wearing like heather gray, a dark gray. So I've been trying to find more like summer-ish kind of clothing because I will be going somewhere that will be having hot weather once again. And I just do so bad with hot weather. So I kind of want him to be still wearing his longer sleeves here and then switches to the short sleeves and shorts on this side. Because like I said, I mostly live in leggings. But sometimes to compromise, I will wear like a slightly more warmer-ish top. Maybe more akin to something for fall-ish. Just roll up the sleeves and like wear shorts. And usually I'm okay with that. I add enough hatching just to make sure that this appears more like black clothing. See if we can get his eyes to be even. This is like another one that I don't know if it's better for me to leave the lower half of the eyes to be in their own color. Also, I think I subconsciously gave him like Zhongli's bangs in a sense. Someone mentioned that like the first time I introduced Kaisen as the new OC out of my group, and like, oh, he has like Zhongli's hair. Because I did make him have like asymmetrical kind of hair, but also like they cross in the middle. It's this side that's a little longer also. But I do like Zhongli's hair, so maybe I was kind of channeling it subconsciously. He'll never give up the black clothing. Give him a second sweatband? I don't know. I know nothing about like guy fashion. Girls have it a little bit easier with the layering. Guys I feel like tend to keep it more simple. Kind of angry brows 90% of the time. I should do like a proper turnaround or something for Kaisen. Okay, so maybe I will choose a color really quickly for Kaisen. I ended up picking PB7. Now this is actually the blue that I keep in my pencil case. As I tend to use it, I think with like a pink, and I've used it with a yellow for some color schemes, or like kind of like a peach color as well. So I won't add it in too many places, I think, because it's not super light. But technically if I add it in enough places, it won't look too out of place. Nice blue color. I could add it into his hair as well, just to give it a little bit more of an idea where the light's coming from, maybe. Coloring in his sleeves. More like well thought out versus like my haphazardly laying of colors sometimes. which is still fun. I feel like it's a little bit more freeing to do. Because like I mentioned in previous videos where I talk about like line art or like doing coloring after the fact like this, sometimes it feels a little bit too much like a coloring book. But whenever I do kind of more minimal coloring like this, even if I'm doing like my more doodly method, I try my best to keep in mind a little bit of keeping the whites as clear as possible so that we can kind of get some nice edges like this. Because definitely filling it in as like one solid color makes things look very flat. And to get a little bit more out of your monochromatic-ish look, you can definitely add white into your color palette by leaving the white of your sketchbook or like whatever color your sketchbook is. That goes for our shading. I'm gonna switch over to a calligraphy brush. So this is the one in Fine. And I think we're gonna go over our text. I'm not super neat with this. Too long. Should I put bulky instead? I might not do that text. I switch between like lowercase and like the uppercase way too much for this to make sense. But here's Kaisen's little spread. I might take a kneaded eraser and we'll go over just the text to make it a little bit less messy, but I won't erase anything like on his actual sketches because I don't really care if they have like the guidelines or like the sketchiness. But this is kind of what Kaisen's yeah, I guess, well, spread kind of looks like. I used PP7 for his color, so this is from the Ohuhu set. And then I already pre-selected Masaki's, which is G420. I went with like a pale green, so I went more towards the green side. So we still have these ones to do. So I did this Masaki sketch first, and it kind of makes sense to go in the same order just because of the way they've overlapped. I feel like I always draw Masaki a little bit younger. Maybe it's because he's more cheerful, or because I keep drawing him with more like derpier faces every time. On this side. I need to find a better way to draw this like asymmetrical collar because every time I do it, it just makes it look like I don't know how to center it. Because the center is like right here, so it is like still off to the side. I might make it so that it rests on his shoulder. Okay, so I think, yes, his apron is on. So just to make sure that I can kind of place this in somewhat correctly. This is his knee. So we'll place it like this. I think in the previous outfit that I did for Saturday's video, so that would have been like the chibi painting drawing video or whatever. I had him wear shorts. But I think like even like looser fitting pants looks cute. Granted, Masaki's pants were never like more fitted. They were always on the looser side. So even though usually these little strings and ties for the back of his apron, they would not really be visible. But I like adding them in. Gives it a little bit more context that this is an apron. It's darker. I just realized I should probably zoom in the camera for you guys. I didn't change the camera positioning since switching from Kaisen. Because technically we could just add more line weight variation. Or grab the sheet of paper just in case. I'm gonna do like the little tiny flowers first, I think. Just kind of like the small flowers surrounding his mouth-ish area. But I would like to get his eye, or eyes, I guess. He does have two. Kind of also in place. So I don't know if you saw how wobbly the line got when I was dragging it. That's what I mean. Sometimes I will do more of like scratchier lines and try to keep as clean as possible. So it kind of looks like a seamless line altogether. It kind of reminds me, my friend was like, why do you like drawing your OCs crying? And I don't remember any other time like really drawing my OCs having tears per se. I've drawn Koji for sure, like in a very old drawing. But she was talking about my business cards. I have like that one where Masaki's crying with the petals kind of like surrounding him. I just felt like aesthetically it was cute. I also wanted something that was like on the lighter side, like a color palette. And that one just fit perfectly because of the composition, I guess. Everything else that I actually had that could have worked, or like that I would have liked, I guess, didn't really work because of the color palette being not what exactly I wanted. I wanted either something really bright and airy or something that's like heavily blue and green. I think I like this one more as a sketch rather than how I'm fleshing it out. So because Masaki has like a lighter color palette, and I didn't really do any dramatic lighting for any of this, or like I didn't really imagine it having dramatic lighting. Maybe this one, but we'll focus heavily on the green to give more context to like lighting and form. So I'm probably going to be a little bit more particular in terms of where I'm going to be placing certain parts compared to Kaisen's, where a lot of the heavy lifting was in the line work for sure. I forgot there's a hand down here. Not great for me when I'm doing the line work because I'm not super confident on how I wanted it to look. So having it not kind of like laid out in any way does make it a little bit more difficult. Trying to make sure that this is looking correct. So even right now he doesn't look like he's looking this way. I'll shorten his fingers just a smidge. I also get some of the shaky lines sometimes when I drag my hand across instead. Okay, so this one, I think this one could be fun for like, if Masaki was like a VTuber, his starting screen, and have like the clovers and his hair move. A little bit more uneven. Sometimes when I do more like the swoosh of hair, and like more of it kind of comes into the face and like away from certain sides of the face, it makes them look a little bit bald. Because I didn't plan out like the hair underneath that probably won't like move technically, because where it's like attached to your scalp. This one could be very pretty though. I'll definitely try to squeeze in more like full illustrations of my OCs, especially like I want to do more of Masaki for sure. Clovers. This is not a clover. This looks like, I don't even know. Okay, because I like the flowy hair. Actually, maybe I'll do the text right now so we can focus just solely on adding in our values. Oops. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna switch over to this green. So I'm using green shadow. I think the other green that I like using is like jade green, and then there's like one other color that I like that's more like on the blue-green side that would match Masaki really nicely. But Masaki's eyes are green, so I kind of wanted to go with green anyways, even though it's not really present anywhere else in his color palette. Okay, hopefully it did not zoom out too much. So because I still have some blue lines here, they are gonna mix with my green a little bit, which I don't really mind. Where I want certain colors to be. I don't really mind if it's gonna mix. Whoa! Okay. Because I was pressing down a little too hard on my sketchbook. My binder clamp came a-coming. Try to keep the color nice and white. And luckily, even though I said it was kind of blending here with our marker, actually not too much of the blue is actually picking up, which is nice. But some areas looks like it smudges a little bit more. So Masaki, value-wise, his apron's not significantly darker than his shirt color, so I usually like to split up their sections like that a little bit more with the actual like using a cool color and a warmer color. But right now it just kind of looks like everything is one giant piece of clothing in a way. So if I really wanted these to look super clean, I would actually erase with the kneaded eraser, which I will do on our text. A little bit more shading for this portion of his hair. His ahoge kind of got snipped a little bit, looks like. So I'll add some in. I'm leaving a lot of these actually pretty light. I'll do the rest of his clothing. I guess I made more of the top of his head as where the light's coming from. I think light colors with black usually looks really nice because of the contrast. Could have been nice to use something like much brighter for Masaki though. This green I chose because it was a little bit more cooler compared to some of the warmer greens that I already had. I'll do the inside of here really quick. Text notifications. But here's kind of like their last little sketch here. Because this one feels a little bit more like whimsical and free, I did not make the coloring as clean, I guess. So here's Masaki. And then here we have Kaisen's little spread. Kind of like more black and blue. This one's definitely more airier and softer, which I think I actually really like. Despite the color being more on the dull side, but here we go. And then back to here. Kind of more higher contrast and a little bit more vibrant, so kind of different vibes for each of them. But hopefully you guys enjoyed watching me work on, I guess, like sprucing up my sketches a little bit and doing a lot more inking to kind of like finish off these spreads. Even though I would have been fine leaving the sketches as they were, it's just something nice about having like colors in your sketchbooks from time to time. So this is kind of fun to do. And I think that's it. I still have like quite a few pages left in the sketchbook, so it's gonna be still a while until we get to do a sketchbook tour. But I will talk to you guys next time in the next video. Bye!